This morning we went to, or the Elon students all took the bus to Pearl Harbor. And that was really interesting because I've heard a lot of things about Pearl Harbor and the memorials and stuff, but I've never been there. So yeah, that was interesting. I don't know about other people, but me, Gray, my roommate, and one other guy, Elon, we stayed at Pearl Harbor for about 6 hours, and the other people only stayed for like an hour. Noisy buses. The other people only stayed for like an hour, I think. And then they went to the North Shore of Oahu, which that doesn't seem very American, really. Pearl Harbor is just like a thing that you won't really go to that often in your life, and I feel like it's pretty important, so that's why I stayed, or I wanted to stay. And yeah, so Pearl Harbor was pretty depressing, maybe. It's not really like the right word, I guess. There was a really sad mood there because of all the people that had died, and partly because the USS Arizona is still there and it's sunk, and there were still bodies of American Navy men or whatever there. So me, Gray, and Nick, the other guy, went on this semi-grand tour of Pearl Harbor. We went to USS Missouri, Arizona, and Pacific Aviation Museum, which is the aviation museum is on Ford Island, which is like in the middle of Pearl Harbor. The Missouri was giant, but it just seemed like any other battleship that I've been on, like I think the USS Yorktown or North Carolina or something. It's I know one or both of those are in North Carolina and Virginia. I remember going there when I was younger, and the Missouri's kind of seemed like the same, kind of the same atmosphere, because they're all warships, so they all have kind of the same design style. And the big difference was just the size of Missouri. It's I think the tour guide on the Missouri said it was 880 something feet long and 100 feet wide, about, and it weighed a lot. I don't remember the exact number, but the turrets on the front and back each weighed as much as 2 737s, which are airplanes, pretty big airplanes. So they're really heavy, and that might give you an idea of how big and heavy the ship is, I guess. Moving on to the Aviation Museum, they had a bunch of American and Japanese planes that would have been flying in the Pacific War during World War II, like Zeros and Nautilus dive bombers and F-4F Wildcats, and some other Japanese planes I can't remember. Also B-25s, which were the planes that flew in the dual raid, which they talked about a lot. They were these B-25 bombers that took off from aircraft carriers in the Pacific, and they bombed Tokyo because the Japanese thought that Americans couldn't bomb Tokyo because the bombers couldn't reach that far. And so the Americans did that, and they succeeded, which was pretty amazing. Still can or even considering that there were 80 crew members on the bombers and only 7 of them died. And even more amazingly, all but one of the bombers either crashed or the pilots bailed out or something. One of them landed in the Soviet Union somewhere. But anyway, all the pilots either crash landed or bailed out, which is still really amazing that so many of them survived. Speaking more about military planes, Hickam Air Force Base is right near Pearl Harbor, and it's also like 30 miles away from here. So the time I've spent here, I've seen a relatively big amount of military planes. Like yesterday I saw 2 C-17s, which are transport planes, taking off and heading that way. I forget the direction, east or west or something. So they took off and then they circled around and then I didn't see them again. But when we landed a few days ago, I saw a C-5, which is another transport plane, on the tarmac or the runway right next to where we landed, and also a C-17 next to the C-5. And then right after we landed, there were a total of 5 F-22s, which are fighter jets, landed right after us, which was pretty cool since I like planes a lot, if you can't tell. And it's pretty rare to see that many F-22s, considering that they're not a lot of F-22s because they cost so much to make. It's like $400 million per plane, which is about 10 times more than any other fighter jet. So they're pretty rare. What haven't I talked about? Pearl Harbor, USS Arizona. So me, Nick, and Gray went to the place where we got on the shuttle boat to the Arizona. And they showed us a video about Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor and like what happened to all the ships and stuff during the attack, and all the people that were killed, and how it was like a surprise to all the military people there. And yeah, and then we went on the boat to the Arizona, or to the memorial, which was across the water from the visitor center. Yeah, we took a boat there to the memorial, and then we stayed on the memorial for 15 or 20 minutes, which is how long you were allowed to go there. On the memorial, it's like a white bridge kind of thing that is straddling the second wreckage of the Arizona, and it has, the memorial has just a bunch of names of people who were on the Arizona when it sank and who were still in the Arizona, I guess. And I think I saw some zone plaque or something where it said that there were these people who served on the Arizona, but they survived the attack, and later, after they died of unrelated causes, they were buried with the Arizona. I think that's what I got from it. That might not be correct, but that it just seemed like the memorial is just really powerful, because around Pearl Harbor there were just a bunch of really big giant ships, and they all seemed fine, like they could stay afloat for a really long time, and they were strong and they could keep off attacks or something. But the Arizona was just completely underwater, except for a couple turrets, or the remnants of turrets that weren't blown up during the attack, and they were all just really rusted, and it looked really old and deteriorated, I guess. Like it's being broken down a lot, and it's not, I guess, as invincible as the other ships looked. And also, there were a lot of reminders that there are still sailors in the Arizona, which was pretty saddening, I guess, and powerful, emotional, other adjectives. Yeah. So the Arizona was the last thing that the group of us did, and then we took the bus back to our hotel, which I'm sitting at now. Yay, hotels on Waikiki Beach. And that's all we did for today as far as activities and stuff. After we got back, we had dinner at Cheeseburger in Paradise, which was the same restaurant I went to on the first day. And the same group of, me, Nick, and Gray all tried some super mega ultra heart clogging cheeseburger challenge thing where you pay $30 and you try to eat this giant burger, which is like 3 patties and a bunch of fried onions and sauces and stuff all on a bed of chili cheese fries. It was just insanely huge. I kind of regret getting it. It was kind of fun at the same time. So if you, the thing was, if you could eat all the burger thing and the fries and stuff in 20 minutes, then you wouldn't have to pay for it. And so me, Nick, and Gray tried the burger challenge thing, but we could only finish half of ours because it's just so much food and it's all really dense and greasy. I don't know what the other guys were thinking when they were doing it, but when I tried it, within 10 minutes I just felt really nauseous, I guess. Almost like I was gonna throw up, but after about 13 minutes, any amount of food I put in my mouth would just make me gag because it was just so much grease and protein. Just not something you're supposed to eat in over the course of 20 minutes, that much amount of. But afterward, none of us really felt like stomach bursting full. Me, I felt like I ate a big dinner, like I was a little more than satiated, but still not like I was gonna throw